Alright, everybody. Welcome back to Immortal Cities, Children of the Nile by Tilted Mill. I wanted to take some time to provide an overview, sort of a wrap-up, to explain this game. As you can see, the performance is lagging a bit. This is due primarily to the extra work that I've done. This pyramid is nearly complete. Since I made my last video, the pharaoh that was crowned, or the king, that was crowned in the north, has since died. And his son is the reigning king. And this is his tomb. I've done the tomb of the great pharaoh. I wanted to zoom in to show the statues and the orientation that I chose. Just for the sake of showcasing at the moment. What I really wanted to get across to you is that this game, being the way it is, will start to degrade in performance when you have a lot of people and a lot of ground covered. As beautiful as it is to have the roads, it does, I think, disrupt the gameplay. It does cause a fair bit of disruption, so you have to weigh your options. But the city has been given a bit of a makeover with the decor. There's some statues that are pending. That's all part and parcel of the whole thing. I now have 20 nobles. I tried desperately to stop the villagers, but there's a bug or something with this game. The villagers kept multiplying like crazy. They did not care. So I have villagers all over the place, and I hate them. I wish I could make them miserable and leave. I don't like the sight of their huts around my place, but it is what it is. And yeah, in spite of my best efforts, it's nothing. The overview that I want to essentially present to you is that when you play a scenario, if you're not grand master planning a scenario by putting everything how you want it and then letting it run, I do that more times than not. I found the scenario to be a lot of fun because it makes you make kingly decisions.
I hope the husband won't bring work home again tonight.
But before somebody becomes a noble, they were something else. So there's a progression. Anytime you create a new position, it's going to take away from the farmers. That's why the game growth has to happen at a certain pace to be as balanced as it could possibly be. You can see here that I put roads and plazas everywhere to try to beautify the area. The roads aren't really necessary. It's just mostly for aesthetics. And that's, I like to use them still because they're pretty. They add a nice little flair. But as you can see, the degradation of the performance is quite noticeable. You see a lot of gaps well, not gaps, but hitching, and that sort of thing. I'm fairly content with how it looks at this point, but what I wanted to, I get sidetracked too easy. I'm so sorry. I get distracted, but The farmers are at the lowest tier of society, as important as they are. In terms of the social hierarchy, I think they're the lowest. I think above farmers is servants, and then common shop owners. Um, and then I would say entertainers, or craftsmen. You go from there to luxury shopkeepers, and that's where the upward mobility increases.
You guys pay so much in taxes that I think you deserve your fancy homes.
Got an extreme flood coming. Great. My treasury is pretty rich right now. I have 30,000 food. My bricks aren't extraordinary, but I have all these projects going that are consuming my bricks. They couldn't possibly use it now. I'm working on just for prestige and for fun. Necropolis projects, but anyways, the luxury shops sell to the elite, so they become more socially connected. And from there, they branch out to scribes, and they go from being scribes to priests, or
I feel like I've been
overseers,
working on the same piece forever.
commanders, and they can eventually become nobles. Noble houses don't really vacate unless they emigrate, or I imagine a family can die from a plague. I don't know. I'm not sure how that works exactly, but I do know that the mobility comes from, the very lowest comes from the farming, and then the craftsmen, and then the luxury shopkeepers, and then it branches out from there. So the luxury shopkeepers can send their children to school. So every noble has a family history in this game, especially if you play from a scenario where you start from nothing and villagers join your city. The bakeries work from, they make food from materials obtained through taxation, and essentially filters down from top to bottom. And if the nobles aren't spending enough, it's not going down to the people. You might think that this would be a great trickle-down economics model lesson, like in terms of it being valid, but food is a temporary thing that has to get consumed. You can't hoard food forever. So it is the only circumstance where the trickle-down theory even remotely works. So in terms of actual economic doctrine, if you believe that the trickle-down economic theory is viable, you are brainwashed and an imbecile. I'll just leave it at that. I'm going to remove this tree because I think it's stopping people from shopping. So yeah, I'm going to remove that. Anything that stops people from freely, yep, that's not cool. I'm not about that at all. I think it was because I had the
Even Pharaoh needs plates to eat from and jars to store his wealth.
Good golly, Miss Molly. It wasn't the tree, it was this shack. Okay, I didn't realize that. Alright. Well, let's get another servant shack going. But, the commoners, the lowest of the low, everybody uses the basics of life that they need. Linen, mats, baskets, pottery. Everybody needs these commodities. Everybody needs them. Everybody uses them. There's no deviation from that. Everybody uses them. The people who use the luxury items are the nobles, the elites, the upper crust, scribes, priests, overseers, commanders, and nobles. They buy the sandals, the jewelry, the cosmetics, the perfume,
Be
the
careful, and
sculptures,
don't hang around the palace with that Jababi kid.
the furniture. They use the luxury goods. You have to strike a balance. If shops are sitting on wares that can't get sold, their business fails. So you have to try to have some kind of balance. It's always best to have adequate or low. You don't want people having nothing for long periods of time. That gets kind of dicey. It makes people have to travel much further to get goods, and they focus less on their tasks. Also, it's a good idea when you have these people that craft things to try to be as near as possible to the material that they will be using. So this is a pretty good area. I have flax here, oil trees, flowers, henna, acacia wood trees. I think I saw some myrrh trees. Myrrh is a very precious incense
Pharaoh's
commodity.
spirit is crossed to Osiris.
Montuhotep IV died unexpectedly. He was not an old pharaoh. He was a teenager still. So I wonder if they see what happens. Yeah, he just died unexpectedly. So the new pharaoh ascends the throne at age 20. If I didn't know any better, I would suspect that there was some treachery afoot there. Well, that pharaoh, the son of the great pharaoh, or king, did not live long enough to use this tomb. So the fourth is going to use this one. I kind of wish the way this game works, I kind of wish that the named pharaoh would be in the tomb. Like, instead of saying only a pharaoh can be buried here, it says a pharaoh is buried here. A pharaoh is buried here. Only a pharaoh can be buried here. So we got those. So yeah, we lost a pharaoh. Anyways, you might notice extra granaries, extra works in progress, hauling of limestone again. I've made 2 big pyramids. I'm going to make some mediums and a bunch of small ones as I taper down my involvement with the city. I'll go ahead and speed things up a bit. Various classes have worship requirements. And I don't have the gods list handy exactly, but craftsmen, they like their god Ptah. Commanders, they like Ra and
I had the
Sobek.
strangest dream last night.
Scribes like Thoth or Thoth. I mean, I'm generally prone to calling him Thoth or Jehuti. I like to use the Egyptian word if I can find out what they are. Osiris or Usir is prominent
Beautiful morning, isn't
seasonal or annual festival god. So is Hathor. Osiris is the god of the dead. Hathor, the god of fertility, sex, drinking, basically the stuff that makes life worth living. Amun is the hidden one, the creator, sort of. It's like the
Truth and fairness underlie everything else.
the god
as
of
Mark
gods, sort
teaches.
of like the basically the equivalent of Zeus in Greek mythology. Bastet or Bast
I
is
need
a goddess of healthy children.
What a scorcher.
Isis is the goddess of healing and maternal protection. The patron goddess of elite women. Ma'at is the goddess of truth and balance, justice. People are moving a statue. I think that's going to be a seated pharaoh statue.
Is about as
or
hard
standing
as
pharaoh.
it gets.
Yeah, I've added some statuary to the cult temple of Ma'at, and I opened up a regular temple of Bast to satisfy religious demands. So the city looks like an actual city now. It's a lot more put together. Anyways, you have it's a gender-neutral god of Hapi, the god of the Nile. I decided to put their temple kind of angled by there because I thought it just had a nice look to it. And it was kind of near the nursery, and I decided to give it a more organic outside. I put some trees here. I can't really diagonally put the roads, so I just decided to put a getup like this. So that's my little stylistic attempt. I'm trying to think of the other gods. I'll just right-click so I can name them off. You have Horus, the patron goddess of elite men. Ra is the patron god of laborers. Anubis is the god of embalming. That's being very generic, but the god of the dead as well. I mean, I know Osiris is the god of the dead. Anubis kind of acts as the protector of the dead. Sobek is protection. Set is kind of like
I have
war.
to say, I haven't heard my friends complain much recently.
So commanders might want to worship Set. I learn a little something every time I play this game. And what I learned most recently, I don't know if it's the feature that's built in or if it's part of an update or something, but I noticed that when I go to build something, it shows me the model of what it is that's going to be built. And I thought it was rather grand to see this. Just like a preliminary. For example, let's see, let's look at shrine. This is my favorite design for a shrine. But I don't want all my shrines to look like this. If I want a variety, I can stamp that one, and then I right-click, choose another one. Oh, same one, it's random. Shrine, shrine, more shrines. This is statistically amazing. That is something. It'll eventually... Oh, there we go. Wow, look at all those random numbers. This is another design of a shrine. And if I were to go build, 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 they would make it identicals. There's one other type. There's the other one. This is my second favorite. But I think it's quite pretty. So you can choose which style you want. Like, I made a pyramid. I'll show you the pyramid. There's 3 shrines to Horus. This is the main one on the front. And I have, they're not really active as far as I'm concerned. They might be, but yeah, it's never been opened. It's just there for show. But on the sides, I put a statuary garden with the entrance to the shrine going through there, just to aesthetically look like a funerary chapel. And I did the same for this side. So the next pharaoh is going to get this one. And what's funny is let's see, we're on the 4th pharaoh. So 1, 2, 3. So the pharaoh that got buried, or the pharaoh that died, has probably gone on to one of the random... Let's see where they're at. Going home. I wonder where that pharaoh got buried. Because it's almost like the pharaoh chooses. I want to see which one it was, see if it's different. Look at that. A pharaoh. This most recent pharaoh chose to be buried here. So usually when that happens, that's kind of funny. I'm going to deck this one a bit. So I'm going to put... Let's see. I'm going to get a greater Horus statue, if I can. Yeah, if I can fit it. Facing that way. And I will have... I'm trying to think. Do I want the Osiris statue facing this way, or do I want 2 of them facing each other? I'll do that. I have an Osiris statue facing here. And a colossal striding pharaoh right here. And yeah, well, that'll be for openers. And yeah, let's make a shrine. Oh, give me a model that I want. That one might be a nice one. Make a funerary chapel. And let's place it... Which way shall we have it facing? Yeah, let's have it facing out. That one will be for Horus. And get a brickyard right here, right in the center of the action. Alright. Letting it rip. Oh, look at that. I have 95 bricks. I'm okay with that. And the traditional palms. I'll have it done this way too. if it... Now this slows the system down, believe it or not. So... The son of the greatest king in this scenario is being buried right here. And I think they chose this because it was adjacent to the Sphinx. So there's a lot of projects going on. I saw these little hills. Since I couldn't build on them, I thought, you know what, that might be a great spot to put Osiris on there. It's kind of prominent, and it adds a bit of flair. So I went with that. And I'm missing some fields, so I think I need to employ some more scribes. I wanted to show you a close-up. I'm going to slow it down a bit. This is somebody in the nobility, I guess. And yeah, they're taking a body to a tomb. And she's going to a funeral. And she's sad that she can't worship Bess to give thanks for healthy children. She wants more wares. Her name is Echidna Ninetjer. I don't know what Ninetjer means exactly, but Netjer is the ancient Egyptian word for God. So she's going to pray for the health of her children. I hope it wasn't a child that got buried. Death doesn't really discriminate. So this was a period of time where the infant mortality rate was pretty much 50%. And you had a 50% chance of dying during childbirth. So pregnancy and birth were a lot more dangerous then, and it's still dangerous today. We're gonna follow her while she prays for the health of her children, and I'm assuming she's going to head towards a shrine or a statue or a temple of Bast. I'll try to provide sufficient worship opportunities for folks. And yep, to Bast. And so she had a little worship session. And she's seeking a health checkup at an apothecary. So we're just going to be nosy. You can imagine how much...
I hope the husband won't bring work home again tonight.
You can imagine how much fun a game would be made with a modern graphics engine with a lot more detail and rich dialogue options. They can be kind of procedurally generated, circumstances that are procedurally generated, you know, having people that are expecting children walking about, shopping and doing their daily things. Basically a bunch of Sims. These are basically a bunch of Sims, but with unique appearances would be fantastic. You hear dialogues, see people live their life, getting sick, frail, dying, having heart attacks.
I'm already behind schedule.
That's enough of that.
She's really upset about not being able to get her worship of Isis going. She's evidently low on wares.
Already behind schedule.
been so preoccupied with things, a funeral, and stressed out. So now she's gonna try to get some Isis worship going.
All of our fates are woven together, just like this basket. I need to
I don't know where she's gonna go to do this. She's really aimlessly wandering here. There's Murtry. And she's getting really upset.
Shadows are growing long already.
That's enough of that.
She's not handling life very well.
Shadows are growing long already.
This is awkward. Okay, she's gonna get some Isis on. She's worshipping Isis. So she got done worshipping Isis, and she's still pissed.
Beautiful evening, isn't it?
Sometimes I could kick you.
She's not a very popular noblewoman. And the family doesn't seem to be happy. Their leisure pursuits are poor. They couldn't have a feast. Well, they got...
Don't be so cheerful. I am just not.
That's where they live. They are kind of on the distance. Gosh, they have servants to get their stuff for them. And now they got malaria to worry about. Yeah, good stuff. Probably should have had a festival. Yeah, I should have done that. I had the resources to do that. I'll boost the economy, release some food. I'll have a festival next year, next season. This is an area that I didn't pave over. Let's make it match all the way through. While this does beautify to a point, it certainly does make the game slow down, and that really bums me out. You'd think that we could find a way to make it more optimized. This game isn't optimized, and it's clunky, but I love this game so much. And I hope that Dynasty of the Sands can maintain some of the richness of this game and give us more to do. But in the meantime, I can play this game and enjoy myself from time to time. I sort of obsess when I do these. It's very obvious that my ancient history passion very well centered on the Egyptian people. No culture in the history of the world had endured as long as theirs did. No nation had existed as long as theirs did for over 3,500 years. They lived by the Nile. They still live by the Nile, but they're not culturally the same people. They were done in by Rome. It's just a fact of life. It's just the way things go. Nothing lasts forever. There's a universal constant that all things in time end. And they had a really good haul, a long haul. I love their artwork, their architecture. I love the pylons. This is a pylon. I'll look at the temples. As a structure, I just really enjoy look at pylons. It's these that this artwork is on right here. And that angular wall just has a really cool look. I think there's a certain majesty to it, and I enjoy it. Not that I have to justify why I enjoy anything, I'm just sharing. Just sharing. But you have to try and strike a balance when you play this game to make an economy where
Good morning.
there's not too much of any one thing, and if you have vagrants, it's an indicator that economic conditions aren't as good as they could be. And hey, a very rich inundation. Now, this is where things get interesting. Yes, we have a very rich inundation. What that means is I'm going to, since it's rich, I'm going to say, hey, you're going to give me more taxes this season. And that is going to make people angry. But what I will do to try to offset that a little bit is organize a holiday, a state holiday, to soothe the ruffled feathers. It seems like every time there's this abundant Nile harvest, I get way less than my share. So it's like, okay, I've had enough of that. Render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's. And as they plant, I'm going to try and strategize where to put scribes. These farmers are supposedly planting, and I'm not seeing fields appearing anywhere. Wow, is there a labor strike from the taxes, or is there a bug going? Okay, now they're planting. That was awkward. I probably should have ordered the tax at harvest time to catch them off guard with it. I'll do that next time. That was probably an ill-timed maneuver. That's sufficient for the scribe that I got. I don't know why they would have a hard time counting all of that. I'm gonna put a scribe over here. How the hell did that get missed? Assess taxes and yeah, this is
not the right thing to do,
that.
Dad.
Do what's expected of you, and don't overthink things.
That's gonna be a bit of time. I'm looking for all of the brickyards so that I can tear them down because they're no longer needed in a lot of places. I don't need this one anymore. Keith Zizza is the musical artist that put this soundtrack together, and it is just priceless to me. I absolutely love it. This is a very ambitious Necropolis project. It's one of those slow overtime things. I really don't want to overwhelm my economy with brick makers all over the place. It's just, there's no point to doing all that. I have a healthy supply of statues now. I can start getting kind of crazy with them, which is cool. But eventually you totally run out of things you can do. I'm not sure what I learned about keeping villagers. I think the existence of so many villagers is a result of a bug. There was nothing I could do to reduce the villager number. It was like they were multiplying like crazy. But yeah, people have needs. They want to have fun. They want to eat. They want to be entertained. And okay, a good flood's predicted, so I'm gonna declare a state holiday. Try and help people feel better about life, the universe, and everything. Because the noblemen are nice and angry over my taxation, and that one family that's so mad. I'm so unhappy. Nitnitcher. Let's give them another name. Nekhotep. And that means essentially shit is satisfied. So we'll see if the the coming festival has brightened their disposition. They had malaria, and they failed to get treated at a medical building. Let's see. Well, these are open hospitals, an open apothecary. I don't know what their issue is. Hey, and I got maximum taxes. So lovely, lovely. People are having a fun time.
We are fortunate to live in the world's greatest city.
But yeah, I would love to see more dialogue options. People talking about meaningful things and stupid things, like empty, banal garbage, just like people do today. How about this sports team? Why, yes, that sports team sports so hard, it made me hard just to imagine how hard I could sports. And they sure won that one good. Boy, oh boy, did they. I meant hard in terms of muscles, not what could be inferred. So I think I totally shot myself in the foot there. Oh well, such is life. C'est la vie. But yeah, talking about weather, health concerns, my back, my arm hurts, and somebody says, well, I heard when the left arm hurts that death is pulling at your arm. You might want to get your affairs in order. And they might say something like, I've been thinking about this, or don't tell me that. I don't want to hear that. Things like that. The kind of conversations people have today. I'm worried about my father going west. He's too
All of
young.
our fates are woven together, just like this basket.
All kinds of
I
things.
need to
People are
count
preoccupied with the affairs of life and death, even today. So the ancient Egyptians were really the same as people today. They're human beings. They had their friends or enemies or lovers.
Hi
They
there.
cared deeply for the safety of their children. Just like people do today. So the human experience is a shared one. And Egypt was a nation of many, many firsts. I think a lot of culture is maintained as a sort of legacy, the cultural attributes. The RX symbol is awfully similar to the Eye of Horus. Our nomenclature for somebody passing away, they would say, "Oh, he died." You know, even the Greeks said, "Oh, they're dead." Initially, the Egyptians used this term, going west, heading west. So, you know, we've altered our vocabulary. I sometimes think there's a correlation between the word Amun and Amen.
I suppose some people might think so.
That's not readily provable. I do think that it's not more than a coincidence that the ancient Egyptian word for the red land was Deshret, which is the desert. I don't think it's an accident that Deshret and desert are used. But the headdress of the pharaoh is very similar to the headdress used by the Pope. And I have a feeling that a lot of rituals have been passed down over time and just remolded.
You know that I love you. I want nothing but the best for you.
I think I know what you're up to.
That was a weird bit of dialogue, but I would love to see enhancements of conversation and concerns of people, and it would add a layer of depth and fun to see people going about their daily lives and to develop an emotional attachment to the stories of these people that could be influenced by what you do. And, you know, the craftsman could be of a certain caliber. You know, they make jewelry. And, you know, over time, the family gets so good at it that, you know, between their trade secrets and other people wanting to copy how great their stuff is, you know, they'll be more motivated to compete or to make similar things and to have that manifest
Don't make
itself.
me mad. You wouldn't like me when I'm mad.
You know, to actually see people wearing more jewelry or to see improvements in architecture, to have it organically take place. And we have the technology to procedurally generate a lot of things, but also to have the influence of the choices you make impact what goes on in the game and the environment and how people feel about you. And while I play this, I think of all these things I wish I could do and I wish that were there. And I have the vision for something that would be, in my mind, extraordinary. A rich inundation. I'm going to sneak up on them with the tax at the end. And they're gonna have to live with it. The Godfather is gonna get his cut of these proceeds.
Nice day, huh?
I'm gonna look for... I'm going to look for scribes' houses to put statues of Jehuti nearby. Happy 25th. Okay, well, there can only be one greatest pharaoh. So we'll get some statues going on the other pyramid, but yeah, we're not going to have such a grandiose affair. Monuments. Let's go with colossal seated. I'm going to use a grid for this. Colossal seated pharaoh. And greater Sphinx statue. And colossal striding pharaoh. And 2 Osiris's on the front. And a shrine. That one will work. Oops. My bad. Let's go down there. And let's put the decoration a couple of reflecting pools. Brickyard. And fancy palm trees. All right. The reason why I'm not so fussed about getting a bunch of bricks together is at some point the construction's gonna stop and it'll be just a bunch of nothing. But I am gonna try and get rid of the other brick yards that aren't necessary. But yeah, pretty much when I play these scenarios I get attached to the city, then I beautify them until I've basically had enough and I need to restart anew. And that's just the way it is with just about every game that comes to be. But I love that this game has mods that people like to put out, and I would love to see the guy who calls himself Horus to do another mod with updated hardware. It would be absolutely fantastic. This video is a shout out to him, and I will, in the description, put his blog link out there so that others can find it. It's a real treat. And since there's nothing going on, I think I can leave it here and bid you folks a fond farewell for now. stay safe. And if you enjoy this, please let me know. If you have any suggestions or wishes, I'm happy to read them in the comments. If you like this kind of material, like and subscribe. I will from time to time put new materials up, but I don't know which scenario I'm going to do next. But I know I'm going to do another one, and I'll try to think it through exactly which one I'll do, but I will be armed with even more information on how best to do things. So even after 10 years of playing this game, I've learned something else. So farewell for now, and until next time, stay safe.